What's up guys, my name is Benjamin and I'm here to quickly tell you about the foldl library for Haskell, made by Gabriela Gonzalez in 2013 for a very specific purpose. And no, this isn't the same foldl as you're probably familiar with, but I'll touch on that in a moment. In this tutorial, I assume you already know the basics of Haskell, but not much more than that. So, let's get into it. But before we start, you need to install the library. This can be quite tedious, but since I only want to get into the library itself, you should search up online how to install a library for Cable or Stack or whatever you're using. There are plenty of great tutorials online. First off, the problem. The problem this library aims to tackle is repeated code. The best example for this would be calculating the average value in a list. What do you need? You need two things. The amount of values in the list, aka the length, and you need the sum of all the values. So let's create a function for that, shall we? First, we take a list of numeric values and we'll return a tuple of the sum and length. This is probably what you're thinking. Easy enough, right? Well, while it's very clean and easy to read code, there's still a problem. You're going over the list twice. First when you're summing up all the values, and the second time when you're calculating the length. So at this point, the perfectionist Haskell optimizer in you should tell you there's got to be a better way. So you use a fold that goes over the list in one go and calculates the sum and length at the same time using a step function. Awesome! We're done, right? No! If only it was that simple. See, you've probably heard that Haskell is a lazy language, so it doesn't evaluate values until they are needed. foldl prime, however, is a strict function, meaning it forces itself to be evaluated at every step. I won't go into the details of lazy and strict evaluation here, so I'll keep it simple. foldl prime is strict, while the x and y are lazy. All you need to know is that this discrepancy is problematic for memory. The fix is simple enough though. Make the x and y also strict. We can do this by making a new data type, pair. The exclamation point makes the values strict. We apply this to the function. Now we get a compiler error, because we're returning a pair and not the correct tuple. And so we create a convert function to convert the pair back to a regular tuple, like so. So now you might be wondering to yourself, after all of this, we still haven't even used the foldl library. We'll get to that now. Because sure, this solution works. It evaluates the values without leaking space and does so very efficiently. However, it's not at all a pretty solution. For every function you do something like this, you need to write a new data type, write the entire step function and the accumulator, but above all, it's not very readable. And what's the point of using Haskell if your code isn't understandable at a glance? So, the solution. Which is why Haskell gurus, specifically Gabriela Gonzalez, have cooked up the foldl library. With it, we can convert this into this. Ah, now isn't that better? Sure, it might look a bit intimidating with the applicative operators and all, but what it actually does is quite simple. The fold.sum and length look like this. Without getting too much into the details, the library basically does the step and conv back functions in the back when you call the fold. The $sign operator is equal to the fmap function, if you remember, and the other operator allows the functions in the functor to be applied. The library does some other stuff in the back, but for now this is all you need in order to effectively use the foldl library. Because now, in order to get the average, we can do something like this. Remember to include the fractional here, and the from integral to ensure that the end result can be a fraction. because, you know, we're dividing. So there you go. I hope you learned something new. And as an afternote, is the foldl library really necessary? No, it doesn't bring any new functionality, but it does bring readability and simplicity to your code, and that's just as important in Haskell. But on top of that, using such fancy libraries will make you look like a real pro. I hope you learned something new, and I'll see you guys later.